Well, I'm getting divorced from you because I'm marrying a rich guy.
Wait, have you been cheating on me all this time?
Well, I happened to meet this amazing CEO who's the same age as me.
But when Sophia says happen to in situations like this, I can't trust her at all.
He's a handsome CEO.
Michelle chimes in. Seeing my puzzled expression, Sophia laughs and explains.
I've been wanting to divorce for a while. I was just getting prepared. I signed up on various dating sites, and that's how I met this handsome CEO.
What do you mean happen to? That sounds totally intentional.
I already decided to divorce, so it's fine.
In other words, Sophia must have initiated the divorce because she was convinced she still had value. If you're saying that, let's get divorced.
The divorce papers are right here. All you need to do is fill them out.
I grabbed the divorce papers and hastily signed them. You are definitely going to regret this soon. My name is Max Miller. I'm turning 41 this year. I got married when I was 21, and I have a wife and one daughter. It's often remarked that getting married at 21 is incredibly early, and that's absolutely true. Back then, I was still a college student. I was dating Sophia, who was 5 years older than me, during my college, and we had a child, so I took responsibility and got married. At that time, I hadn't really thought about marriage at all. I vaguely thought that maybe I would get married around age 30 or so after graduating from college and getting a stable job. So when Sophia suddenly told me she was pregnant, I didn't really feel anything. However, once the child was born, she was incredibly cute. I realized that there was nothing more important than my child. So at that time, I thought marriage wasn't too bad after all. Having a child made me responsible. After having a child, I felt the need to earn money for my kid. So I narrowed down my job search to international companies. Because in international companies, depending on your abilities, they'll quickly raise your salary. And in some positions, the salary can be sky high. Of course, if you don't have the skills, you might get fired quickly. I've heard that sometimes you might have to change jobs the next month due to the company's circumstances. But it all depends on your efforts. On the flip side, with international companies, if you find a company or position you like, changing jobs won't be seen as a negative. Some companies even limit the number of times you can change jobs. To get a hefty paycheck, you work hard at an international company, hone your skills, and then move on to a better paying job. I thought that was the quickest way to increase my income. I didn't want to think of having a child while still in college as a disadvantage. Instead, I saw it as motivation to become a high-earning man. It seems my approach suited me well, as I was able to steadily increase my income to a decent level. I started by building a track record at my first company, and compared to my friends from college, who were the same age, I was able to earn a pretty decent income. However, as life started to stabilize, my wife Sophia began acting strangely. She started using shopping as a way to relieve stress. While I generally managed the household finances, initially, Sophia didn't spend much money, so I had given her a family credit card that anyone could use. However, one month, I was shocked when I saw the bill. It exceeded $5,000. When I confronted Sophia about the exorbitant bill, I was met with a surprising response.
The bag I happened to buy was expensive. It's fine to splurge occasionally, isn't it? Taking care of a child is tough, so think of it as a gift from you. Or do you think I'm not worth giving presents to?
In America, there's no tradition of giving such expensive gifts without a birthday or anniversary. No, I'm sure it's not common overseas either. And even if it were a gift, I can't imagine buying something that expensive without permission. Return the bag.
No way. I had to reserve that bag and finally got my hands on it. Who knows when I'll be able to get it again if I let it go?
Despite saying earlier, the bag I happened to buy was expensive, she's completely contradicting herself. It seems like she's completely forgotten what she said. We argued about it, but in the end, Sophia didn't back down, and the bag issue remained unresolved. By the way, I haven't told Sophia how much I earn. I was worried that if she knew I earned more than others, she might start indulging in luxury. No matter how much you earn, it's meaningless if you end up spending it all. Even among my colleagues, there are those who earn well but have no savings, and some are even in debt. I don't understand why they work at all in that case. Unfortunately, my expectations were proven right, but it's a relief that I didn't tell Sophia about my income. No matter how much my income increases from now on, or rather, the more it increases, I've decided in my heart not to tell Sophia. I can't be vague about the credit card issue. For now, I've unilaterally canceled Sophia's credit card to prevent her from using it any further. Since she didn't listen even when I told her to return the card, I took measures to ensure the same thing wouldn't happen again. Sophia's fury when she found out about the cancellation of the credit card was intense.
Hey, the card's not working. Do you have any idea how embarrassed I was at the department store? Stop messing around, you useless man.
Department store. You were trying to make a big purchase with my card again, weren't you? Canceling it was the right decision.
You seriously canceled it just because of a bill of around $5,000. What a loser. How am I supposed to manage without the card? What do you want me to do?
There are plenty of people who manage to get by without a credit card. Sophia is just angry because she can't shop freely anymore. But I know it's pointless to argue with someone addicted to shopping like her. I can't give you the card anymore, but I'll give you $1,500 in cash every month for living expenses. That includes groceries and your allowance, Sophia. Here you go. Make do with this.
Are you telling me to make do with such a small amount every month? Even when I was working in my younger days, I was making over $2,000. It's tough to marry a man who earns so little, honestly.
I'm the one who pays the rent for the apartment we currently live in, and I cover any expenses needed for the house. Since I'm the one who handles savings, Sophia doesn't need to worry about that. Speaking of groceries, there are many days when I come home late and skip dinner, so probably the money would be enough. Considering that, there is certainly enough allowance for her to spend genuinely every month. I doubt there are many who would consider that amount to be low. No matter how you look at it, she's receiving a substantial amount compared to the general public. According to surveys, the pocket money for the average salary man is around $400. Everyone manages with that amount. Since I would just get verbally abused if I argued back, I left silently with the $1,500 and escaped to my room. A few months after starting to give Sophia $1,500 every month, I changed jobs. Sophia didn't say anything about my job change.
You can do whatever you want. As long as you keep putting money in every month, I don't care what you do. Instead of a measly $1,500, you should be able to put in around $10,000 soon.
Basically, Sophia seems to be interested only in money, not my job. It's really disappointing. Lately, even our daughter, Michelle, who's about to enter college, has started to mock me because of Sophia's influence. I cover all of Michelle's college expenses. So, I've been telling her to get a part-time job to cover the rest. But she still asks for pocket money every day?
I don't have enough pocket money. Give me some more. No parent hardly gives any pocket money, you know? My friend gets $1,000 a month from her parents.
I told you to earn your own pocket money before starting college. I don't care about your friend's family policies. They are irrelevant to us. Do you plan to keep giving more once you start? You're so much like your mom in that aspect. Michelle always resorts to bad-mouthing when I try to reason with her.
Are you saying that because you're basically poor and broke? I can totally see why mom's annoyed. I would never marry a poor guy like you, ever.
Is that so? Good luck with that. No matter how much you say that. I'm not giving you any more pocket money?
I really wish mom would just break up with this guy.
It was around the time she entered high school that Michelle stopped calling me dad. Told her, I'm just this guy now. Sophia may be responsible for Michelle growing up this way, but I understand that I am also responsible. I had heard that daughters often dislike their fathers during adolescence, so I was somewhat prepared. But this is far worse than I ever imagined. Am I handling things wrong? She used to call me dad so affectionately when she was little. With these thoughts, I feel lonely. Every day, I endure relentless complaints and sarcasm from them. What kept me going through the stressful days that would be unbearable under normal circumstances, was the faint hope that when Michelle became an adult and had children of her own, she might understand her parents' feelings and express gratitude. Maybe in another 10 years or so, Michelle might finally understand how I feel. Honestly, the thought of another decade of this life is depressing, but it's better than having no hope at all. However, the stressful routine suddenly came to an end, for better or for worse. One day, Sophia dropped a bombshell.
I'm divorcing you to marry a rich guy.
I had no idea what she was talking about. Sure, I understood the desire for a divorce, but this topic had never come up before. Wait, have you been cheating on me all this time? With some rich guy?
No way. I haven't been cheating, but I just got tired of being with a poor guy like you. Am I beautiful, right? So I figured if I divorced you, I could remarry a rich guy.
So, you are aiming to marry someone much older for their money. Are you after their inheritance? Indeed, Sophia looks quite young for her age, and I'll admit she's quite a beauty. No exaggeration. If Sophia were to set her sights on a man in his 50s or older, getting married would certainly seem easy. But then it would be quite obvious she's after his inheritance, and I doubt his relatives would stay silent about it.
Well, it's certainly a good idea to go after an older CEO whose wife passed away. But if I were you, the younger or rich people my age wouldn't leave me alone. Dealing with an old man seems tiring, so I'd aim for that. Actually, I happen to meet a wonderful CEO who's the same age as me.
And there it is, Sophia's catchphrase. Happen to meet, she says. But I know from our long history together that Sophia's happen to is never just a coincidence. First off, it's improbable to casually encounter someone you are considering marrying.
He is a handsome CEO.
Michelle chimes in. Seeing my confused expression, Sophia laughs and explains.
I've been wanting to divorce you for a while now, and I've been preparing for it all along. So, I met that handsome CEO through the internet. I registered on various websites, and that's how I got to know him.
Where's the happen to? That was totally intentional. And didn't you register as single, even though you're married? That's called fraud, you know.
Well, since I've already decided to divorce, it's all good. Actually, I'm not getting divorced right now. I've just figured out the facts later. There's no problem if we divorce right away.
In essence, Sophia must have brought up divorce because she registered on a dating site and felt confident that she still had demand. What a terrible woman. And seeing that Michelle knows about this so-called handsome CEO, she must have consulted Michelle about her matchmaking efforts for the divorce. They're both clearly making a fool out of me. Suddenly, I feel ridiculous for thinking I could stay with these people forever. I get your point. If that's what you're saying, why don't we get a divorce? You've already got the divorce papers ready, haven't you?
Oh, you've been married for so long after all. Here are the divorce papers. I've already signed them, so all you have to do is fill them out.
With that, Sophia handed me a divorce paper with her signature filled out. Honestly, I had expected there to be divorce papers, but seeing how thoroughly prepared she was, it hurt my feelings. But there's no use in saying such things. I snatched the divorce paper from her. Then I signed the document roughly. I'll submit it this today. I'm fully awake now. I want to divorce you as soon as possible and get out of here.
Well, that's fantastic. If possible, please leave within a week. I don't want to see your face anymore.
That's one thing we agree on. I don't want to see your face either, so I'll pack up and leave by tomorrow. But let me make it clear, you two will definitely regret this soon. Sophia thought I was just sour grapes and chuckled. Michelle laughed along with her.
Well, even if you say you're leaving, you're on a rental contract here, right? We'll have to leave eventually, but I plan to move in with the handsome CEO. We're planning to move out by the end of this month, so please cancel the contract.
I have no intention of continuing to pay rent for an apartment I don't even live in. Why does it have to be said in such a condescending manner?
And besides, you probably don't have any money anyway, so we don't need to bother with asset division. I'll just enjoy the luxury with the handsome CEO's money, so it's all good.
Instead of saving money, you are likely to be in debt. So if mom splits your assets, maybe she will be in trouble. So let's just cut ties with the poor folks completely at this point and rely on the handsome CEO.
They can say whatever they want, but they'll definitely regret this. It's fine to leave, but it's a shame I won't be able to see their faces twisted in regret and their tears of regret up close. 3 months later, I was leisurely enjoying my vacation on the beach. My phone rang. Who's calling me on a holiday? Is there any trouble at work? Looking at the screen with a little anxiety, it shows the name of Sophia, who divorced 3 months ago. On the day Sophia declared divorce, I immediately took the divorce papers and submitted them on the same day. So, we're already complete strangers. Sophia is nothing but a dark chapter in my life now. I decided to ignore it, but the phone keeps ringing. Just when I thought it had stopped, it rings again and again. She's probably going to keep redialing until I pick up. I consider turning off the phone, but there might be urgent work calls. However, if I don't answer now, It'll probably keep ringing forever. I even considered blocking the call, but I was curious about why she was persistently calling me, so I decided to answer the phone. The moment I pressed the call button, Sophia's shrill voice came through the receiver.
Why aren't you answering the phone? Don't make me call you over and over again.
I regretted picking up the phone and the moment I heard the first word. Her condescending tone hasn't changed at all since before the divorce. I was enjoying my vacation and feeling peaceful just moments ago, but now I suddenly feel annoyed. Why do you think I have an obligation to answer your phone? We're already divorced, so we're complete strangers now. Got it. I answered just now because I wanted to tell you not to call again. It's annoying. Don't ever call me again. As I was about to hang up, Sophia apologized to me in a solemn tone that I had never heard before.
I'm sorry. If my tone was harsh, I apologize. But I called because I realized something you had been hiding when we were married.
What are you talking about? Are you calling to complain about something from when we were married? I don't want to hear about something from so long ago. It's a trivial topic, so I'm going to hang up.
Wait a moment. Actually, I saw an interview article about you yesterday. It said you're a top-notch fund manager at a worldwide company, and even though you're a salaried employee, your annual income exceeds $1 million. Is that true?
Upon hearing those words, I remembered that I had been interviewed for an economic magazine about a month ago. Despite being a salaried employee, I was featured as someone receiving an extraordinary salary of over $1 million annually. Initially, I declined it, but after hearing that the magazine's theme was for young people to consider how they would live in the future, I decided to accept. Certainly, these days, young people need to venture abroad more and more. Getting a job at an international company could be beneficial as a first step. However, it's frightening not knowing what kind of life you led. I agreed to the interview because I hoped my way of life could serve as a reference for the future plans of young people. Actually, as Sophia mentioned, I manage investment funds as a fund manager. Handling funds in the billions of dollars brings tremendous pressure. But with increased performance comes unlimited income potential, which makes it fulfilling. I was headhunted and changed jobs to my current company, finally breaking the $1 million annual income barrier. The process of breaking the $1 million annual income barrier and the interview were detailed in an economic magazine. I later cite myself and was impressed by how thorough the interview was. However, I never expected Sophia to read an economic magazine. Sophia or Michelle wouldn't read it anyway, so I agreed to the interview. Well, there's no point in lying to an economic magazine. But seriously, why did you read an economic magazine? Are you interested in investing lately?
Oh, my friend just told me about it. I got a message from her that she didn't know about our divorce, saying, "Your husband is amazing with that income. With that much money, we could all be happy. I'm really happy for you."
What do you mean? We could all be happy. You're not thinking about getting back together with me, are you? Her selfish remarks irritated me. If she wanted to get back together because of my money, it was like declaring that money was her motive. Who would honestly agree to reconcile under such conditions? But common sense like that didn't apply to Sophia.
That's right. With that kind of money, we wouldn't have needed to get divorced. So canceling our divorce? Aren't you happy?
Are you stupid? In short, you want to get back together because you want money, right? Who would be happy to hear that? I have no intention of getting back with you at all.
That's No way. You still like me, right? You don't have to put up with that much. You're probably just feeling lonely all by yourself anyway.
Sophia had an air of superiority about her, as always. Why was she so confident? I didn't understand. You've got that handsome CEO you met online, right? Go hang out with him. Anyway, I'll never have anything to do with you guys again. Don't ever call me again. As I was about to hang up, Sophia panicked and stopped me.
Wait, I'm thinking of breaking up with him, so please don't abandon me.
Sophia cried out. That doesn't matter. Even if you break up with the handsome CEO, why would I ever consider getting back together with you? Don't call me ever again. Again, as I tried to hang up, Michelle, sensing something was wrong with Sophia, seemed to have taken over the call.
Dad, listen. That handsome CEO initially came on strong with sweet words, but it turns out he's broke. Now, he doesn't even pay for their dates, and he's asking Mom for money instead.
What's that? Isn't he supposed to be the CEO? Why is he hitting Sophia up for money?
I think the whole CEO thing is probably a lie. Whenever I ask about the company's name, he dodges the question. And when I asked for his business card, he conveniently claimed to have run out. It just doesn't add up.
Indeed, it's common for people to embellish their backgrounds and professions when meeting online. Maybe he just blurted out CEO in the conversation. Or perhaps he approached Sophia with the intention of deceiving her from the start. He might be one of those guys who latch onto women attracted by the title of CEO, borrowing money from them. We don't know what kind of guy he is. But one thing's for sure, it's thrown Sophia and Michelle's calculations off. Well, that's a typical story. But honestly, I can't sympathize with her for falling for that and divorcing me. It's because she judges a man's worth solely based on money that she ends up in situations like this. People who are too greedy for the past usually end up losing in the end. Sophia, who had been listening to our conversation nearby, snapped at Michelle.
He really is the CEO. It's not a lie. I'd be in trouble if it was. I've lent him most of my savings.
What? Mom, have you lent him money yet? Why did you do that? You haven't even paid the rent here.
But if I didn't lend it to him, he said he'd leave me. Plus, he's always saying he forgot his wallet and I end up paying for meals. If we break up, I'd be at a huge loss.
Essentially, she made a choice to avoid immediate losses, which ironically led to a major loss. This is a common pattern in gambling or investments gone wrong. I thought she was smarter than this, but I guess I was mistaken. Honestly, I felt like breaking up was the right decision after all. You said you were breaking up earlier. Why would you suddenly lend money when he says he's leaving? You were probably just thinking about conveniently collecting the money back before breaking up. Either way, I'm done with this. Cutting the call. On the other end of the line, Sophia and Michelle were shouting at each other loudly. It felt like a waste of time listening to that exchange. So I hung up. After that, the phone rang multiple times, but I never answered again. Michelle messaged me, thinking that cutting ties with those two was done. I found her persistence annoying, but I was curious about what she had to say, so I read it.
In the magazine, it said you're now living overseas, enjoying a carefree life. Is that true? Are you really living abroad?
Once again, she was probing to see if I had money. I was truly fed up. So, even though I had initially ignored it, I decided to reply. I figured that by telling them the truth, they would further regret their past mistakes. I'm currently living in Hawaii. But what's the big deal? I can do all my work remotely now, so it's not an issue. Getting divorced freed me up, so I took the plunge and moved. In that sense, I'm grateful for the divorce.
Wow, living in Hawaii is amazing. I'm so envious. Can I come too? Unlike mom, I'm dad's child, so it's okay, right?
Michelle had the audacity to say that. Indeed, just because we got divorced doesn't mean Michelle stopped being my daughter. However, just like with Sophia, or even more so than with Sophia, Michelle's words struck me deeply. There's a different weight to the words of someone who shares blood with me, compared to someone who seems like a stranger after a divorce. Some might think that because she's my daughter, I should forgive her no matter what she says. But in contrast, Michelle's words were the ones I couldn't forgive. Why are you coming over here? I don't think of you as my daughter anymore. How many years has it been since you called me dad? Don't try to suck up to me now. It's disgusting.
Why are you saying that? Are you really my dad?
You brought this feeling upon yourself. I've been ridiculed by you ever since you were old enough to understand. And now, because I have money and live abroad, suddenly you want to live with me. I feel pathetic for raising a daughter who thinks she can get away with something like that. In truth, I deeply regretted how I raised my daughter. However, that didn't mean I could, or wanted to, make up for it now by living harmoniously with her. Besides, if I were to forgive her and let her live with me now, Michelle would only become even worse in character.
I didn't realize you felt that way. Dad, I'm really sorry. I can't rely on mom anymore because she's changed so much. That's why.
Are you trying to switch over to me because Sophia got fooled and lost her money? You're even worse than Sophia. You should go to hell with her. I poured out all the pent-up emotions I had since our marriage into that message. In a way, maybe it was only possible to express it through a message. I wouldn't have been able to say it over the phone.
Because mom mocked you, Dad, so I joined in. It's not my fault, and it's mom's fault. I just got carried away. So, please forgive me, even if just me.
Michelle finally started bad-mouthing Sophia to deflect responsibility. Admittedly, there was an aspect where she joined in ridiculing someone her mom was ridiculing. But using that as an excuse to absolve oneself of responsibility is just too much. Michelle is already 20 years old, a full-fledged adult. Are you still trying to shift the blame onto your parents at the age of 20? Hearing those words made me realize I need to cut ties with you even further. You should experience a little hardship and relearn about life. Take responsibility for what you've done. Upon reading that, Michelle sent a flood of crying and bowing emojis. She's probably really crying. But, as I just said, Michelle could use a little hardship. Even if it means struggling financially and dropping out of college. She needs to learn that if you mock and look down on people, there will be consequences. I think that's more important than anything she could learn in college. I figured there's no point in continuing to communicate with Michelle, so I blocked her messages. From what I heard from acquaintances, after that incident, Sophia ended up being duped by the so-called handsome CEO. She kept pouring money, thinking she wouldn't lose out. But eventually, she reached a point of no return, unable to contact the guy at all. She didn't even know his company or address. They only communicated through messaging apps. I can't believe she kept pouring money into someone like that. But she probably thought she'd get back hundreds of times what she gave. She even lent him $100,000 just because he said he needed it for his business. She apparently borrowed money from consumer finance companies and friends because her savings weren't enough. It seems she ended up with a significant amount of debt after being left high and dry. Now, she's working both day and night jobs to pay off the debt. It's quite amusing and ironic to see Sophia, who once sought an easy life with other people's money, now desperate to repay her debts. Through acquaintances, I received a message asking for help, but I naturally ignored it. When I returned to the mainland a few years later, I happened to run into Sophia on the street. Her former beauty had faded, and she looked like she had aged about 20 years all at once, so she must have been going through a lot. She cried and pleaded with me for help again at that time. Feeling sorry for her miserable state, I handed her a $100 bill. "If you apologize to me, I'll give you a $100 bill," I joked. But the moment Sophia heard my words, she promptly apologized without hesitation. She used to complain about receiving only $1,500 a month, but now she did for just $100. Quite a change. If she had understood the value of money even a little back then, maybe Sophia and I could have had a slightly different relationship. When I asked about Michelle, it turned out she was struggling financially and had dropped out of college. She moved out of the apartment they rented together and now lives alone in a rent-down apartment. Michelle's got a lot of pride, so despite dropping out of college, she insists on aiming only for good companies and keeps getting rejected from big corporations in her job hunt. It seems she's scraping by with part-time gigs, but she looks down on other workers, which isolates her further, and she can't hold on to a job for long. She needs to put in more effort in her current situation if she wants to see any improvement, but it seems she's far from realizing that. As for me, I used to live in Hawaii, but now I've moved to Singapore, and I'm liking the change. Since I can handle everything remotely, I plan to keep moving around whenever I get bored. Surprisingly, this lifestyle suits me well, and both work and personal life are pretty fulfilling. I've had enough of married life, but recently I've met someone nice, and we've started a good relationship without any pressure for marriage. Maybe I'll get married again, but she's not particularly fixated on marriage. This kind of relationship was unimaginable when I was living with Sophia. She refers to me as her partner, and this kind of arrangement might actually be good. In many ways, I'm glad I broke away from the US. With a long life ahead, I plan to live in various countries and learn different perspectives. And I'd be happy if I could find a way of life that suits me best. What kind of life that will be, I'll figure out by the time my life ends. Until then, I'll keep pushing forward in both work and private life.